Welcome to Modern Homestead, Alaska. I'm Jessica, and today I'm taking you along for a video that I'm calling Weed and Feed, Bugs and Slugs. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna walk you through everything I do to keep the weeds out of the garden, everything I do to feed both the garden and all of the flowering pots. How do I deal with the bugs, such as aphids? How do I stay on top of all those things? And one of my number one questions is, how do I deal with slugs? Because they are a super popular problem up here in Alaska. And so I'm going to take you along for all of it. The early gardening season is upon us, and we have some maintenance that we need to do immediately. So won't you join me today? All right, so right off the bat, we are going to talk about weeding, but when I talk about weeding, I'm also going to be talking you through, as we go through the video, just basic plant maintenance. So even though everything is not weeding, it may be something like deadheading the petunias or cutting off some dead leaves off of each plant. But it's basically, for me, it is a maintenance time. It is time while I'm fertilizing each plant to also be checking it out and seeing any maintenance that it needs. And at the same time, I can weed the garden. Now, we just got the garden planted out. I am not having a weed issue yet. The number one way that I weed the garden is by hand. I just go along. It's such an enjoyable process for me personally. It's my quiet time. It's that peaceful time. I like to do it when the garden's a little bit shaded, and I just go row by row and work my way through. And then once I get all of the weeding and the maintenance done, I come through and feed the garden. So I'll show you some of that on some pots and different things today as well. We are going to start, however, in the feeding section, and I thought I would share with you with the tomatoes. So the tomatoes have had some transplant shock. They look like they are suffering from a little bit of lack of calcium, so I'm going to give them some calcium today. I'm also going to fertilize them with a fertilizer. However, they did get a granule garden tone fertilizer in the soil. That's a slow release. It's going to feed them, but I think the tomatoes, they're kind of weak. They're tipping over. They have some brown tips on them. Let me show you. All right, so we have some curling of leaves, some spotting. We have some weak and drooping tomatoes. We have some brown tips. We have lots and lots of very classic signs of we need some food. So the first thing we're going to do is realize that not everything survives the transplant. That's always happened. I may have broken something when I was planting it out and didn't notice or didn't hear it or anything like that. However, we are going to go through, trim off anything that is dead and suffering, as long as there's several big leaves. What I mean by that is, this is the perfect example. I am going to come through and snip off all of the dead and suffering leaves, because we have plenty that are absorbing the sun up here to help this plant reflush, regrow, and produce great big beautiful tomatoes. And there's no sense in it sucking energy for leaves that are not helping it in any way. So we'll start with that. I'll show you how I'm going to feed them. I am going to use for the tomatoes, and then I use this throughout the garden. I use a Master Blend tomato and vegetable fertilizer inside of the garden. I can use this outside. It's a 1 to 1/2. So 1 part 5, 12, 25 to a calcium nitrate, which is 15.5. So this is going to be the calcium that the plants need. I'm going to just use a 5-gallon bucket. When the season gets a little further along, I'm going to start filling up. This is a 35-gallon rain barrel or water barrel. I'm going to fill that up as the season rolls along, and I will do the whole 35 gallons of fertilizer at the time. But not everything in the garden needs fertilizing right now, but the tomatoes in the greenhouse certainly do. So let's start with this. All right, so water. So I'm gonna, oops, my mistake. All right, so I need 5 scoops of the 5-15-25 part 1. Now that needs to dissolve before we put the other part in. Set that aside, fill it up. All right, so now that we got that done, we're gonna do 2.5 scoops of the calcium. And while that dissolves, we're gonna go through and trim off anything off of the tomatoes that we don't like. The other thing is, if you pre-water the day before you fertilize, your soil will absorb the fertilizer better. And the reason is like, if the soil is dry, which tomatoes do like to dry out a little bit before they're watered again, the soil will kind of run off your fertilizer, so you don't know how much the plant is getting, all of those things. So if you have damp soil, it's better to fertilize, I have found, than if you just go in with the straight dry soil and it runs off out of the plant bags or off of the top of that garden bed or whatever it is. So you might need to water things first and then add the fertilizer. While this does it, let's do some maintenance. So let's just start off. If you can see this guy here, he has one really bad looking leaf, so that's got to go. This one, I'm just going to take it back a little bit and cut that off, but I need to leave enough on this tomato plant in hopes that it will actually reflush, but it has some new growth, so it is fighting back. This one here, it was part of, so I don't like this at all, but what's great is right here I can see a sucker starting to grow, and this one I'll just take part way back. I just want to snip off what is not helping it and try to leave. I'm gonna end up probably having to come through and cut off the rest of those leaves, but we need something for it to grow with. This one, this little guy here, he just doesn't seem like he's got enough. We'll just snip that. Anything broken, so there's a broken. This one seems, I need to leave plenty on this guy as well. Our big guy here, let's just take off anything that looks wrong. I don't like you at all. Whole thing has spots. Let me see. This one. So now I'm showing you, I'm just going to go through and quickly do all of them. All right, that was quick and painless, and the longer the season goes on, the bigger they are, the longer that does take. But really quickly, they are all finished, and now we're going to feed them, and I'll show you my bizarre little trick. Now, I have like a watering can that I use later in the season, but for the 5-gallon bucket that I haul around, I use an off-grid shower head, which makes my life a little bit simpler. I think these are like 25 bucks on Amazon. We wash the dogs with them. We do all kinds of stuff, and they have rechargeable batteries. I have one inside on the charger in case we run out today, or in case this one is dead, which I did not even test. And of course it would be. Let me run and grab the other one. All right, fresh battery. blows the whole time. So you just kind of put it in the pot or leave it in the thing, and I just kind of hold on to these two things. All right. And then I fertilize. my first year of doing flowers, I quickly learned that they needed fertilizer throughout the entire season. I didn't know that before learning to garden here in Alaska. And so the flowering plants really do need a lot of fertilizer as well. So I have some proven winners, premium water, soluble plant food, and then it's 1 tablespoon per gallon. And then this is a weekly fertilizer, and we just are going to do it the same way, straight into the water like you've always seen, and then do everything that flowers. So this is for all the flowering plants. This isn't for our fruits and vegetables, but I'm going to go ahead and make 10 gallons of it, and we will start watering these then. All right, we're done with all the flowers from the garden to the lake. I just tucked those down there because I had a couple of extra petunias and some pansies and some pots and dirt. And Aaron has started making this like drive lane, like walkway down that kind of draws you into the lake. It's gonna get a landscape fabric and gravel and all that fun jazz. But I thought, oh, aren't those pretty? So some color down there, something. So now I'm gonna do the front of the house. These are absolutely my favorite pots so far, I think. They're gonna be so, so beautiful. And I knew that they would, and I was excited to plant them out. And then I also think my second favorite pot is the one on the front porch. I think the flowers on that one are gorgeous. And then my biggest surprise pot was a hodgepodge one that I put together for the centers of the garden posts, which I'm gonna get them put in their spots today. Those are massive. And I did not expect it because it was just kind of a mix of flowers and stuff that we had. But these are just starting to really fill in, and they are going to be just absolutely so, so beautiful. I love these pots. This will be a big purple dahlia. This is my second favorite. I'll show you the fuchsia in a second on it. So these are white fuchsia. You just pull the old ones. I can reach them. Anyway, these are the new blooms. Aren't they incredible? And then this has like twisted itself back up and around. I love it. I think that's gonna be just incredible when it's bloomed out. So this pot I made to match that one. It was just a bunch of leftover stuff that I had actually bought for this one. And then those dahlias were suffering really bad. I super cut them back, and then boom, it just bloomed a little red dahlia. And now I saved the tag because I haven't told you guys yet on what I ended up with on these 4 pots around the porch. And this was a hard one for me to find because it didn't super work well to do herbs and stuff because it doesn't get enough sun. So I needed something that likes part sun. So this says full to part sun. And then it says max 10 or max 12 inches. And it's a Zinfandel Oxalis, Oxalis. I saved the tag to tell you that. So when I saw these, I was looking for something that was kind of work with the porch. I love the red and the green in the leaves, and then it blooms these little yellow flowers, and when I smelt them, they smelled so amazing. So I got kind of some smaller ones because these are they're 10-inch pots, but they're only a half a pot. So I needed something that wouldn't overwhelm the pot. So like a super tunia, anything like that. Something that's done really well in these is pansies, but I wanted like a red pansy, something like that. Anyway, long story short, that is what I ended up with around the porch. And then my friend, I'll talk about that in another video, but that was a gift from a friend. So now I'm gonna hop over here and do the woodshed area. So these I just think need food. They got put out just super early in comparison to everything else, and they went through several frosts. They survived, and then they started pushing lots of new growth, but this one continues to suffer. So I'm just hoping a good, like a weekly feeding is gonna fix that. And then my dahlia maintenance, my little yellow, and then hopefully these things will start, like here's another white one, and there's red in there, red super tunias, and I'm just wondering if it survived. I need to get up there on a ladder. I'm 5'8" and I'm still too short to see inside that pot. No, see back here, that's a red super tunia. So pretty soon we should get some red blooms. But oh my gosh, that purple, that yellow. Now this dahlia has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just from what I can see, there's 6 or more brand new yellow dahlias about to open up. So that takes a ton of plant food in order to get those fed. And then this again, this one suffered through a little bit of the, but see, if you can see through the sun, these brand new little leaves are this nasturtium should make it. This one we cut back. I think I did that on video where I showed you that these are brand new leaves because this suffered some damage from the frost. So as it starts growing out new ones, I have been taking the old ones off. And then this should be, there's a red super tunia in here as well. So here's the red. They're just now starting to open. Aren't those dark and beautiful? And then these dahlias is the same as what's on the porch, but I planted these pots out sooner, and so they're doing a little bit better. Same here. Look at all this red. So this is the weeding part. Like I just come through and look for anything. This one had a dahlia on it. I cut it so that it would flush, and look, all of those will be new red dahlias. And see, look at this one. Look at that nasturtium. That's a happy nasturtium. Perfect. And then I'll feed these guys as well, and the 2 pots behind the woodshed, and I think we'll have everything fed out today. All right, I am done fertilizing everything, getting everything watered in, and that is a long task. It so far has been almost 4 hours since I started filming this video. So I had a little visit with my neighbors, and we have everything fertilized. So now bugs and slugs. Let's go deal with those. And in fact, one of the things I'm going to use, that's where I got the name bugs and slugs, this section of the video. And that is exactly what it is called. Now, I just saw a bumble and I tried to catch it on the camera. We will not do any spraying outside of the greenhouse until this evening, but I will show you what we're going to do and how we're going to deal with all the bugs. One of the things is a granule and one is a couple of different sprays. All right, so I literally bought this 1 gallon sprayer for this. Now, this is the Captain Jack's Dead Bugs. We are going to use this. It kills bagworms, borers, beetles, caterpillars, moths, leaf miners, spider mites, tent caterpillars, thrips, so on. A massive amount of things. Now, this is the concentrate, and I want to be able to just spray it on, like drench the leaves. It's 4 tablespoons for a gallon, and I have an open one. And so this is something that can be trusted. When it has that label right there, it can be used in organic gardening. And we don't, however, want to mess. So 4 tablespoons, so all the way to the top. We don't want to mess with the bumbles or the bees, and so it's important to do this super early morning or late in the evening. Well, we have about 20 hours of sunlight right now. However, I don't see the bees and the bumbles out late into the evening, and so I'll pop out and do it then. And this is what we're going to start with. And I am going to treat all of the petunias and the tomatoes and anything that is prone to getting these things, and do it ahead of time. Now, they do have a ready to go. So if you maybe have just one hanging basket on your porch, that should be enough. And then every other week, so Wednesdays are going to be my bugs and slugs sort of days. Then every other week I use neem oil, and it gives you directions. This is the neem sprayer. So neem oil goes in here with water. I hate the smell of it, but it really does work. So what we don't want happening is we don't want the bugs to become resistant to whatever we're using. And those are the 2 organic sprays that I use. And I'm going to spray them on, like I said, all the flowers and petunias and things that are prone to the different bugs. Now, some granules that we use is the name bugs and slugs. So this is how I keep hold of the slug population, which can be fairly aggressive up here. All right, so I went and filled it up with water to the 1 gallon line so that we have enough room for, don't cross that Aaron says. So we have enough room for the air to go in. And then I'm gonna spray the greenhouse, and I'm going to close it down, and then we'll do the bugs and slugs, and I'll show you how I'm gonna do that. And because that's a granule, I can do that right now with all the stuff out. I too, if you hear them, there are flies in here. So we're gonna drench. Now, people around me are already seeing aphids, and so we do not want to deal with them at all. And even though we try and use things like the marigolds and different stuff. So what we're going to do is with the sprayer, just drench, especially up where the flowers are, because that's what the bugs like to eat. So the reason we're pre-treating this year and just doing all of the stuff is last year I did some of the flowers this way, and by pre-treating them and just staying on top of it, I didn't end up with a problem. Well, anything that I didn't pre-treat, such as like tomatoes or peppers or anything like that, I ended up with an aphid problem. So this year I'm lesson learned from exactly what gets the biggest bugs like the aphids and so on, that needs a spray. So one of the only vegetables I do spray unless I find something on it is the tomatoes and peppers, which we don't have any peppers right now. All right, so that is it. So just imagine that times all of the flower plants. Now, I'll take you out and we'll do the granules. So again, this is a product for organic gardeners, and it is these tiny little granules. You can use them in flower pots, you can use them anywhere. They last a few weeks, and I am going to start using them, and then I'm going to show you on the rhubarb, because the rhubarb has already had some damage. Something has been munching on the rhubarb. So what's likely to be munched on early that's already blooming out is going to be the vining things such as the zucchinis and cucumbers and squash, and then the slugs love to get up underneath all of their leaves and make little homes, and so this is an area we have to treat. I'm not going to worry about any of this until or if I see damage, then I would come out and start treating all that. And then I'm going to treat the brassica bed as well, and it's just simple. You just sprinkle on the granules, and that is it. That is how I control the slugs. Now, you see them kind of puff up and turn like moldy almost, and then just retreat, just put new down. So maybe for my entire garden, I might go through one of these a month is about. So I put it down. When I see that it's no longer working, I put another treatment of it down. But with everything, it may be a little bit bigger this year, so we'll see how far this goes. So I also have a couple of dahlias that have some holes munched in them. Let me see if I can't remember which one it was. Okay, there it is. Look at those perfect little bite holes. So I am going to do some down the dahlias, but I'm not seeing anything on the other flowers, so we're not going to worry about those. But this would be anything that's kind of crawling up and around. This bottle treats 3,000 square feet, effective for 4 weeks. So that's why I go through about one a month. Before we go out to the rhubarb, I just want to tell you, I planted out these seeds. This garden finished on Thursday. It's Tuesday. It's been 5 days. Let me just show you how quickly. So that's the salad. That's the arugula. Those are the radishes. And we're starting, so the peas and beans, I put a little more compost over them because I had a little robin out here kind of digging them up, and then I was finding them and they're starting to sprout as well. I don't see any carrots yet, but I am having to wet. We have had no rain, not even a drizzle, nothing. So So I am having to keep anything that is seeds watered in a couple of times a day just to keep those seeds nice and wet. Now, the bugs and slugs you can use in the flower pots. So if you're having an issue, you can go ahead and just toss some granules. But I will show you, this happens every year. A couple of the rhubarb get munched on, and then I stay on top of it. So here we go. There we are. Can you believe this rhubarb? It has been less than 2 weeks since I showed you this bed. Now, that's a bag of potatoes I need to figure out what to do with. Isn't that incredible? So I just fertilize it, and just with a granule fertilizer. I don't even do the weekly fertilizing on it. And then I just keep it watered in, and it is giant and fantastic. It loves its home right there. And that one's always been smaller than the rest. No idea why, but these two have always been huge. So let's finish up. So you do have to just reach in between the leaves. Because look, that's a big hole. So lots of the bottom leaves have little munchies on them, but I'm not finding something that, like, I'm not finding a caterpillar or something out here. So I don't know what came in and kind of took some nibbles. It was one of the first things to start growing. So whatever it was has hopefully moved on to find what it truly wants to eat, and that not be the rhubarb. But that is all the treatment I do to this rhubarb, is bugs and slugs once a month, and then fertilize when it started. I may throw a little granule fertilizer on there like halfway through the season or something like that. And then I am going to make sure that all of these spots, Aaron moved me the trash can down here. Side note, I have a mess I'm gonna clean up here. So I have lots of things that I'm gonna button up and get taken care of and done around here for the next video. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. It's probably kind of short, but I wanted to show you a little bit of the garden maintenance and some of the things that I do. I was gonna show you, see, look, something took after that. That's why we're gonna spray. But all in all, everything. Actually, I'll just close out the video here, and then I'll wander around and show you a bunch of the pots and stuff. Just some beautiful things with a little bit of music to look at. So there you have it. Thank you for being here. If you haven't yet, would you hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, you get notifications, thumbs up, comments, all those things help our channel to grow. Thank you for being part of everything that we're doing. You are so appreciated for showing up over and over and over again. And I am so excited and happy to share my garden and what I've learned and all of this with you. And the fact that you come back and watch it just absolutely amazes me. So thank you for that. I hope that you are blessed. I hope you have the most beautiful week ahead of you. And I hope that I showed you something that maybe you didn't know, or I reiterated something you did know and you forgot, or whatever. I hope this was a little inspiring. So with that, I will see you in the next video. Come back then. Bye.